Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into PTA. My name's Clayton. That's Tim. He's in Green Bay. I'm down here in Tennessee here to talk Packers this evening on this glorious October the 10th. We made it to Friday. I know everybody's excited about getting the weekend started. I'm excited for some high school football tonight. As soon as we wrap up the show, we're going to check out a little bit of that on the tube. Also got some college football, full slate of games tomorrow. Going to be exciting. And then, of course, we finally got us a Packers game coming up Sunday, dude. I'm so freaking jacked about that. And in terms of tonight, we're going to give you guys the Christian Watson, Devontae White update on the injury report. We'll also talk about the Bengals side of the injury report. Matt LaFleur also spoke on Brandon McManus a little bit. And then, of course, we'll dive into what we call the game plan. We'll give you a detailed description of, hey, here's how the Packers should attack the Cincinnati Bengals, both on offense and defense. Before we get into it, though, if you guys would, do that YouTube stuff for me. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on the daily. So if you're looking for daily Packers content, make sure you click subscribe and that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Tim, I know you battling the weather change a little bit like Emilio is, man. I know it's up and down, up and down. We're in the low 40s down here in Tennessee. How you feeling today, man?
Yeah, a little bit up and down is right. You know, we get like low 60s, high 50s during the day. And then we actually had a frost advisory up here in Green Bay last night. And so cold at night and in the morning, and then beautiful during the day. So, yeah, got to give your body time to acclimate a little bit. But, it's my favorite time of year, man. I love this weather. Not too hot, not too cold, man.
We got some leaves rustling around down here, man. And all day long, we had a breeze of about 10 mile an hour. It's probably 63, 64 degrees. It was just lovely. Absolutely lovely. So really, really, really excited to get a little deeper into the fall and into the winter months. We got Chris in the house says, how do you get to be a Packer fan with a Southern accent? That's a great question, man.
The Packers are the greatest team in the history of sports and have fans from all over the globe, including rednecks like Clayton, right?
That's the perfect answer, Tim. And you know what's funny about that, too, is like I went to Bristol to the race a couple weeks ago, or 2-3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Ran in everywhere I went, and I wore Packers gear. Everywhere I went, go Pack, go Pack. Same thing. We were at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Braves Cincinnati Reds game. Go Pack. Shouting it everywhere. Mandy said when she wears her Packers gear, she's in Florida right now. Packer fans everywhere in Florida. But long story short, Chris, I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, kind of because I rooted for my big brother's favorite team. And then when I kind of branched out on my own and wanted to, have my own favorite NFL team, started studying on the Packers and became a Packer fan right around 2003, maybe 2002 at the end of the 2002 season. So been a Packer fan ever since. So I got about 23 years under my belt now. But, yeah, I'm down here in Tennessee, grew up in Kentucky, and that's where the accent comes from. Perfect drop, too. Perfectly fit there. So, hopefully that answers your question, man. Let's get into it, Tim. Let's talk a little Packers Bengals. And, so let's just get into the injury report right off the bat here. Rob Domofsky tweeted out, right tackle Zach Tom with the oblique said he was able to exert himself in practice this week and feels good about playing Sunday and also being able to go the distance. Quote, having the confidence that your body's going to hold up is obviously huge. Tim, last week, you remember, or I think it was last week, it was before the bye, right? I think it might have even been before the Dallas game. He goes out there and tries to play. Was it Cleveland he tried to play? Am I thinking right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes out there and he
snap.
didn't do anything all week long. So he, like he had said earlier in the week, he didn't have defensive ends crashing into him. So you didn't really test it until you got there on the field. He got there on the field and was like, I can't do this, right? So this week it sounds like he's gotten a chance to actually test it against the Packers defense, and he feels good. So I think we're good to go on Zach Tom. And I think this is huge news, obviously, man. Rasheed Walker, we'll talk about him here in a second where he sits on the injury report. If you're potentially going out there without both of your tackles, that makes that game a lot more interesting when in terms of, you got a team that you're supposed to boat race. They're 14-point favorites wherever they're at. Obviously, if you're missing the two most important positions on your offensive line, things could get ugly quick. So it's nice to know Zach Tom's back in the fold.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a perfect game to get your legs under you again, or in this case, your obliques under you again out there against that kind of questionable defensive front. I'm sure we'll get into the breakdown in a few minutes here with Cincinnati, but he's not going to be looking at what he looked at against Cleveland and against the Commanders as well, and Detroit in week 1. So I think he's going to have a great opportunity to get back into playing speed and get himself ready to go as we make this push through the season. So excited to have him back. Hopefully, we we get some consistent O-line play here at some point of the season as we try to make a playoff push. So glad Zach Tom is back.
It's still wild to think about too that they haven't had their starting offensive line healthy all year long through, obviously the first 4 weeks of the season for the Packers, with the 5th week being the bye week. And Jordan's still a top 5 quarterback. It's really, really interesting to think about because you played 3 really good defenses, right? You played obviously Detroit week 1, Washington Commanders week 2, and then Cleveland Browns, one of the best defenses in the league, definitely top 5, maybe even top 3. But the fact
we'll always have this moment with Rashawn, right? Well, from the Cleveland game.
Yeah, when he did the meme bug there as we were leading 3-0 against the Browns, I felt pretty good about that game. Of course, wasn't long after that, I was like, oh no, this is going to be one of those nail biters. So you know how that goes most of the time. Now, I thought this was good news. And you can see the grin on Matt LaFleur's face here as Rob Demoski tweeted out the picture. Packers coach Matt LaFleur on why he called Brandon McManus's injury a major concern yesterday before McManus insisted he would play Sunday. Quote, "You're a kicker and your leg's bothering you. That's a problem." So I think it's pretty straightforward, and I imagine it's kind of like I didn't lie to you. I mean, it is a major concern when your kicker's leg is bothering him, right?
Especially
but we all know
leg, right?
Mm-hmm. And we all know, though, how the Packers use these injury reports, man. Most teams, it seems like they kind of, handle it normally, I guess you could say. But the Packers, they're like, hey, man, listen, if the janitors, got a hangnail, put him on the injury report, too. Let's just load that thing all the way down, even though, when you look at it, 90% of those players are going to be out there on Sunday. But I think this is great news here. And I think Rob went on to say McManus yesterday, quote, "He didn't speak to me about that. So he has his own thesaurus. What is it? Thesaurus encyclopedia to describe injuries." So Matt LaFleur and Brandon McManus didn't talk about what they were going to say, right? Didn't brief each other. Matt LaFleur went out there and basically said our kicker's legs falling off, right? In my best Dumb and Dumber voice.
Just the tip, though.
Our pets' heads are falling off. So he goes that route, and then McManus is like, "No, I played with this injury before. I'll be out there." All right, cool. So there you go, man. Really, really interesting how that all unfolded. I think it's safe to say, though, McManus is going to be out there. Now, does that mean you need to march him out there for a 60-yard kick or a 55-yard kick? Absolutely not. If you can have him active in case somehow, some way the game's close, great. And then also the goal should be, let's try not to use him one time other than extra points,
And maybe push that field goal line up a little bit. We know his comfort zone and his capabilities. I mean, I still think, McMoney's got the ability to hit from, damn near 60 yards if we really need him to in a pinch. But I don't see him having those type of attempts on Sunday, right? Want to keep him inside 50. Don't have him overdo it. We don't want to make a problem worse by doing too much. So I would agree with that.
Definitely. Respect Orange just said, "You sold your dead bird to a blind kid?" Let's break out Dumb and Dumber tonight. It's going to happen. Let's go over to the Bengals side of the injury report as Paul Denner Jr. tweeted out, injury updates from Zach Taylor. Jamar Chase will be listed as questionable for Sunday with an illness. Thought that was interesting. Okay. Dylan Fairchild will be questionable, although I think most people think that they're leaning toward him not playing at left guard. Me personally, I kind of hope he does play at left guard because he's been cheeks all year long. And then Shamar Stewart will be doubtful. So obviously Shamar Stewart has had limited snaps. He's grading out pretty decent as a rookie. I want to say around the 68 mark. However, obviously you get minimal snaps. Sometimes those grades can be a little misleading. So if they are missing Shamar Stewart and Jamar Chase, I think he'll play, right? They wouldn't have traded for Joe Flacco if they wasn't somehow, some way trying to salvage their season. So I think he'll play, but it does give me a little bit of, he's dealing with an illness, maybe he won't be 100%, and that could hurt his productivity, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But they still have T. Higgins, right? They have weapons. But I'm with you, Clay. I think Jamar Chase is going to play, and we all know that questionable is better than doubtful, right? You've got a higher likelihood of being in the lineup, and then illness is such a loose term, right? That could be anything,
Right.
you know. He could have a small cold or stomach bug or anything in between. We don't know, but my money's on him playing on Sunday. I don't think he's going to miss this game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, man. All right, moving along to the injury report in its entirety here. And like I said, it's going to be a long list, but it got a little bit shorter, looks like, from yesterday. So as we dive into it here, let's just hit it. I don't know which one's better. Probably the other one, right? Yeah, we'll keep it zoomed in. So, yeah, here is the Packers injury list. All right. Aaron Banks with the groin/knee. So we got two different injuries there. Limited all week. He's listed as questionable. Rob Domofsky earlier today hinted that he thought Aaron Banks was going to be playing. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. Anthony Belton is officially listed as out with that ankle injury. He did not participate all week long. Kingsley Enagbare was limited with an ankle for the first 2 days and then was full participation today, so he's good to go. Nate Hobbs, questionable with the concussion. He was limited all week long. Tucker Kraft with the elbow, obviously full participation. Jordan Love's good to go. Brandon McManus, limited all week long. I think he did kick today, if I understood correctly. I think I heard Wildy say they typically kick on Wednesdays and Fridays. He didn't kick on Wednesday, but he was going to try to kick today. So he's listed as questionable. I think he'll be good to go out there. And like I said, in some kind of limited fashion. Jacob Monk with the hamstring, limited participation all week long. He's listed as questionable. Jordan Morgan's good to go. Zach Tom is officially listed as questionable. I think he's going to play. Rasheed Walker is the one that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
With the quadricep. Limited, did not participate, then back to limited. Okay, so they've been obviously trying to work through that. It's going to come down to one of two things, Tim. You got to decide which one is more ready to go and less likely to re-injure themselves, Aaron Banks or Rasheed Walker. So if Aaron Banks is a little bit healthier than Rasheed Walker, you put Aaron Banks out there and you kick Jordan Morgan over to left tackle, and we see what we got at Jordan Morgan at left tackle. I got to be real. I'm kind of excited about seeing that. I hope that's the route they go. Or it might be the other way around. Sheed's a little healthier than Aaron Banks, seeing that Aaron's dealing with two different injuries. So maybe they start Rasheed at tackle and then put Jordan Morgan at left guard. Regardless, I'm just excited that Jordan Morgan is most likely going to be playing on the left side. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we said, this O-line, we need all the help we can get. Good to see Jacob Monk, is a little bit healthier, I guess, than he was a few weeks ago. But yeah, I think you're right. I think if Banks gives you a better option to stay healthy, then you try Banks out there and you make your adjustments. If it proves that Rasheed feels like he can go, then I don't know how we hold him out, right? We need our starting left tackle at this point. But it's a mess, right? It's an injury report. Nate Hobbs is the one that is really giving me kind of concern here. Now the good news is he's got the rest of tomorrow, and then I don't know how they do that as far as clearing him from the protocol, if it's right up until a few hours before game time. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he clears and he's good to go. Otherwise, that's going to make things really interesting in the secondary. Get ready for a heavy dose of Carrington Valentine out there.
Yeah, that's a great point. So obviously, if Nate Hobbs doesn't go, then Carrington will step in for him at the right side wide cornerback position. Javon Buller will continue to play in the slot. So that's very, very interesting there. Now, the big news, Christian Watson, he was limited all week long. He's officially out. So they went ahead and shut that down. We're going to let that ride over, and we'll see.
I'm clapping for the trainers, not for Christian Watson not playing. I'm just happy that they made this decision. He'll be ready for Arizona game.
Yeah.
And his first game back at Lambeau will be against Carolina with the throwbacks, the leatherhead throwbacks on. Good for you, Scoot. Welcome back, man. It's coming. We just got to be patient.
I kind of feel like the way I'm leaning here, Tim, I think he'll be out this game, and I think he'll be out in Arizona.
Really?
And then he'll come back that following
for the Steelers game. Yeah.
That's on the road in Pittsburgh, right? I kind of feel like that's the route they'll go. I don't know though, man. We'll see. I guess it depends on how his body responds next week in practice, right? So
exactly,
we'll keep an eye on it. But Christian Watson definitely out for Sunday's matchup against the Bengals. Savion Williams limited all week, does not have a game status, so he's good to go. I don't think there's any surprise there. And then Devontae Wyatt with the knee. We talked about this all week long. We were expecting him to be out He did not participate all week long at practice. He is officially listed as out. So no Devontae White against the Bengals coming up on Sunday. So that is the Packers side of the injury report. Now jumping over to the Bengals side, Jamar Chase with that illness we talked about did not participate on Friday. So he was full participation on Thursday. He was on the injury report, right? Because he was limited Wednesday with veteran rest. And then he was full participation Thursday, and then he did not practice today because of the illness. So it sounds like, if I'm reading this correctly, the illness snuck up on him late Thursday, early Friday. So this may carry into the weekend, man. Who knows?
We'll see. I think they're going to have to, chain him to the locker room or something to get him not to be on that field. He's a stud. And I think if he's got any fight in him at all, he's going to want to be on the field. But you're right. Looking at limited to full and then to did not participate is not the direction you want to go, regardless of what you're dealing with. So we'll see. That's going to really help us out if, in fact, we don't have Nate Hobbs on the field. So and they don't have Jamar Chase. That'll kind of balance things out there.
Yeah. Dylan Fairchild, questionable. We talked about that. There's a list of guys here that are full participation today, so they're all good to go. No reason to mention them. Looks like Matt Lee, their center with the knee, was not listed Wednesday, Thursday, and then did not participate Friday. So he did something to his knee, and he's now officially questionable. I believe Matt Lee is the starting center there, too. I could be wrong. Lucas Patrick with the calf was limited, then full the rest of the week. He's officially listed as questionable. So they could potentially be missing 3 offensive linemen by game time. I'd be surprised if all 3 of them don't play. I think you'll probably get 2 of those 3 playing. Drew Sample, he was good to go. And then Shamar Stewart, like we mentioned, was listed officially as doubtful. So there is your full injury report. Anything else you want to know?
Patrick has a little bit of center experience as well, right?
He does. That's right.
So if they're going to lose their starting center, I would think Lucas Patrick is going to want to play, especially coming back to Lambeau. I think he's probably in Mr. Taylor's ear over there telling him he wants to play, and it's been a while. So he would be one of those 3 I would think would go.
Yeah. So there you go. There is your Packers-Bengals injury report for Sunday's matchup there at Lambeau Field. Tim, is there anything you want to hit on before we dive into the game plan here on Patreon, man? Anything?
No, let's get right to it because you put some work into this. I was trying to catch up on this earlier. Patreon.com/Packer fan total access. If you want to join, get the exclusive rundown before we hit the air with it. This is really good work here, Clay.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was a lot of fun. I love doing this type of stuff. I used to do it on an old notepad, right? And then as technological advancements came about, now I'm just basically putting it together in a Patreon group, which I really, really enjoy. But this is the stuff that I've been doing for, well over a decade now, studying the game, studying the matchups. And now it's cool to go, all right, let's just kind of put a detailed report together. Again, this isn't a full report. This isn't like what the coaches would have. It's just we want to give people an idea. All right, here's how we see this all shaking out. So again, over at patreon.com/Packer fan total access, where you find this, you see we lead off with the injury report. We're not going to rehash that. Let's get into the offensive keys. Okay. Establish the run game. The Packers were 5th in the NFL in rushing yards per game in 2024, averaging nearly 147 yards. The Bengals have a new defensive line coach this season. It could be vulnerable to the run. Running back Josh Jacobs should be the focal point, as we point out here, Tim. When it comes to run defense and yards per carry allowed, which we talked about last night pretty extensively, the Bengals run defense is ranked 16th in the league at 4.3 yards per carry. All right. And of course, the Packers were sitting in we're tied for the number 3. No, we're in the 5th spot at 3.6 yards per carry allowed. When I put this together, they may have shifted a little bit if some other numbers came through. So with that being said, establish the run. Listen, I know their pass defense is cheeks, but don't get too far away from the run. Control the clock. Let's go up to an early lead and make them make the mistakes. You get out there, and I know there's fans out there, oh, we need to put our foot on the gas, and Matt LaFleur needs to be more aggressive, and this and that. Okay. Keep saying that, and then every week you'll be screaming to fire him because we lost the game because we were too aggressive in certain situations. That's the stuff that drives me crazy. So, again, I think you got to go out there first and foremost. Let's establish the run, establish it early, man.
I agree. And, let's hope Matt is in his bag with some of these play calls, you know what I mean? Or whatever they worked on for install in the running game. We can get a little pre-snap motion, get the eye level change, get guys, uncomfortable in that Cincinnati defense, and hopefully we can engineer a running game. And then you pick your spots, right? You can be aggressive through the air if you're running the ball effectively. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Number 2, protect the quarterback. The Bengals have one of the top edge rushers in Trey Hendrickson. The offensive line must know where he is at all times to provide Jordan Love with time to throw. As you see here, Trey Hendrickson has done nothing but get better his entire career. When he came out in 2020 or 2017, 61.5, then a 65, 68, 70, 73, 82, 82, 88, 86. So just a guy who's been dominant throughout his career. I love the fact that we compared him last year, or we compared Lucas Van Ness last year to Trey Hendrickson. When we mentioned Lucas Van Ness was more productive in his second year in the league than Trey Hendrickson was his second year in the league. And that's a comp that we drew going, hey, give LVN a little bit of time. As you can see, it really started to ramp up. What you've really got, Tim, is LVN is right there in terms of PFF grade is on par with Trey Hendrickson's 2021 season, which would have been his 5th year in the league. So LVN's kind of ahead of schedule if you compare him to a player like Trey Hendrickson. But nonetheless, man, you've got to protect Jordan Love from Trey Hendrickson, especially if Shamar Stewart's out. This is going to be the guy. This is the Tuesday player, which will wrap up the game plan with the Tuesday player list. Got to stop Trey Hendrickson for sure, man.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of, I think of what we talk about with Micah Parsons. We talk about pass rush being the strength. Doesn't mean the run defensive grade is cheeks. It just means it's not his strong suit. And I think you're dealing with the same thing with Trey Hendrickson. He's going to be effective in those run fits. But obviously the priority one is protecting Jay Money out there for sure in the passing game.
Yeah. All right. And then when you look at their defense, comped up to our offense here. That's their base 4-3 that we're showing right now. I wanted to get Oren Burks in there for a reason. There's Sam Backer that's only on the field in their base 4-3, and Oren Burks, at least according to PFF, he's grading out higher than the other two backers. You got Knight Jr., their Will at a 46, you got Wilson at a 56, and then Oren Burks is sitting at a 66. So when you look at this defense and you look at this front, if they are going to fire the backers on blitzes or they're just going to bring that pass rush, essentially you got Trey Hendrickson at 86.5, then TJ Slayton, the old man there, right? 40 or the old Packer, I should say, not old man. 47.6 is what he's grading out at right now. Hill is a 60.2, and then Shamar Stewart, of course, will most likely not play, seeing that he's listed as doubtful. He was a 69.6. So it just jumps off the page there. You got to protect against Trey Hendrickson. Just wanted to point out PFF agreed with that assessment as well. When you look at the rest of their defense here, I mean, it looks to me like their strength outside of Trey Hendrickson is their safeties. And it's not like they're great, but they're playing pretty good football. You got Geno Stone, 66.1. He's grading out as the 30th best safety in the league. And then you got Battle over on the strong side. He's the 31st graded safety in the league at a 66.0.
Yeah.
So.
Another reason to focus on that run game, right? Get those safeties coming up in the box and take your shots downfield when you can, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Now, let's move on here. Exploit the Bengals secondary, all right? Their pass defense has been inconsistent in 2025, ranking in the bottom 5 in both points scored and allowed, all right? With receivers Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, and Dontavion Wicks, wide receivers Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, and Dontavion Wicks can take advantage of the Bengals secondary. So their yards per pass attempt allowed for the Bengals is 25th in the league. I think this could be a big day for Jordan Love. Hearing Tauscher talk about it earlier today, he thinks they're going to air this thing out. Wildy said he thinks they're going to grind it out on the ground, right? I can see the case for both. If I had to pick, I think this should be a Josh Jacobs type game. I think Josh Jacobs, basically what it comes down to is Josh Jacobs, I think, is projected in the 70s, 70 or 80 yards rushing. But then you got Jordan Love is projected at like 240. When I say projected, that's what the betting line is, the over-under, right? So with that being said, which one would you pick? Which way would you like to attack this defense? And to me, the answer is boring, but it's always the same answer. It's, well, what's the defense taking away? If the defense loads the box, Jordan Love should have a pretty good game. If the defense is playing shell coverage with two on the shelf up there with the safeties deep and playing that split backfield or split back look, if that's the case, then might be a big day for Josh Jacobs. And if they are putting two on the shelf and you establish the run early and get the backers to bite up, look out for Tucker Kraft in the midline.
Yeah, middle field open, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely. So, again, the passing defense for the Bengals is 25th in yards per pass attempt allowed. When you look at their secondary and specifically their cornerbacks, their grades are DJ Ivy, minimal snaps, but a 63. And then when it comes to the guys that are playing the most, Dax Hill, 63.5. DJ Turner the second, 60.9. Cam Taylor Britt, 55.9. Josh Newton, 53.9. And then Marco Wilson, a 29.4. They don't have anybody who is starting quality in terms of their cornerback room. Doesn't mean they can't go out there and have a good day. But again, to me, when you look at the weakness of their cornerback room, I think the way you combat that is you play shell coverage and force everything underneath. That way your corners can play a little more aggressive underneath, knowing you got two safeties on the shell. So.
Yeah, they may have to do that against this Matt LaFleur offense. That might be the approach. Really looking for Tay Wicks to have another solid performance out there because I think he's going to get a lot of targets if they're going to play like that for sure.
Yeah. Chase Green in the chat said, Clayton, I want deep crosser and dagger explosive plays. Let's score early with the air raid. Let's look at their coverage real quick here, Chase. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's take a quick glance at it and see what it is they're doing. So they're playing cover 3, 34% of the snaps. All right. They're playing cover 6, 20% of the snaps. And they're playing cover 1 man, 21% of the snaps.
Wow.
So cover 1 man.
Good luck with that, Cincinnati. Playing cover one man on this offense.
Cover 1 man screams crossers, which is basically whether you're in a 2x2 set or you can be in a 1x3 or a 3x1. But the goal is one target on each side of the field, running crossers, intersecting crossers. And what you're doing is you're making the post safety become the conflict defender. Whichever one he goes with, you're going to the other guy. And then if they start to play with inside leverage on those crossers to take that away, even though they're in a single high look, let me explain that. The reason that crosser concept is so effective against a cover 1 man is because the safety is playing post, right? It's middle field close. You got a single high safety. And when you play that, the technique underneath with the corners in man coverage is to play outside leverage. You're funneling everything to the middle of the field. Well, you're funneling it toward the post, right? But then there comes a point where that post safety has to make a decision which crosser he's going to go with, right? Now, if you come out with a trips or a tray left and you run a dagger and a slot cross concept, right? Like Chase is saying here, if you do that, essentially what that looks like, guys, is you would have the outside, the number 1 receiver on the outside will be a deep dig. The number 2 would be a go route with a 9 fade away from the post safety. And then the number 3, whether it's a tight end or your F, is going to be running a crosser. And then the X on the other side, if you have them run a crosser, guess what you've just done? You've included dagger, slot cross, and crosser concept all in one play design. And that is going to wreak havoc on a cover 1 man defense.
Absolutely. Now, if you send a 9 route, that single high is going to have to go with whoever's running that 9 for sure.
And again, it kind of goes without saying, but we're going to mention here, they're not playing much cover 2, right? So they're not playing much cover 2 only 11% of the time. So if they're in cover 3, 34% of the time, and they're in cover 1 man 21% of the time, that's 55% of the snaps on defense. They're playing what we call middle field close. Cover 6, maybe middle field close pre-snap, but it can also it's typically easier to play cover 6 defense out of a shell look, right, with 2 safeties on the shell. But nonetheless, their EPA per drop back here going into actually weeks through week 5, the Bengals were sitting at a positive 0.17. So they're right down there toward the bottom. They're what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly 7 from being the worst in the league in that regard. So appreciate you with that comment there, Chase. And it's nice to kind of take a look and see what they're doing specifically there. Now, let's move along to how we're going to stop their offense. Defensive keys, all right? Pressure the quarterback. The Bengals offensive line has struggled with pass protection in 2025, ranking in the bottom 5 in sacks allowed. With Devontae Wyatt most likely missing this game with a knee injury, expect to see plenty of cheetah package plays, which deploy defensive lineman Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, and Lucas Van Ness at the same time. The Packers have to apply pressure on Joe Flacco with a 4-man rush to allow 7 in coverage for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Again, keep 7 in coverage. Don't get blitz happy. You don't have to worry about their run too much. Now, listen, if they start to effectively move the ball down the field, running the ball, okay, now you can kind of get a little more aggressive, load the box a little bit, and then go from there. You can load the box and go with that coffee house look, which is a double A gap mug, and still drop those guys and accomplish 7 in coverage, right?
Absolutely. And we've seen them do that effectively. They did it well against Detroit in particular in week 1.
Yeah. Now, let's get a little more specific, okay? I put a couple notes in here. What is it that they run? They have dubs dominant calls. What's that mean? They run a lot of dub set, okay? What's a dub set? Dub set, when you hear me say dub or dubs on Chalk Talk, it's just short for doubles. What does doubles mean? Doubles means it's a 2x2 set. You got 2 targets on each side of the formation. Okay, so it can be a tight end, and it could be a tight end in the Z. It can be the X and the F, or it can be, however you want to group it up together. It just means it's 2x2 set, and then of course you'll probably got a sidecar, or you're in an ace package with the T in the backfield. So they run dubs dominant calls on offense. Now, what's their most efficient? Their most efficient formation is what we call a 2x1. So if they're running dubs a lot, and they're most efficient out of the 2x1 with the 2x1 set, that tells me they probably got a double sidecar pony package, or maybe they go with a 12 personnel with a guy playing on one side of the formation there, and more or less, it's kind of a tray right look, but can still be considered dubs if you motion him back into the wing spot there. So I think you're going to see a little bit of their own pony package, if you will. Now, it won't be 2 running backs. What they'd like to do is they love to put the U at the H spot. What's that mean? Their backup tight end, their utility tight end, they like to put him in the backfield. There was one particular play, I think we'll get to it in a minute. I drew it out a little bit for everybody, where they had the H as the running back. The U at the H as the only running back, a sidecar left, and their T was flexed out wide. So they like to get really, really creative with that type of stuff. Nonetheless, though, what I wanted to point out here is their 2x1 formations is most efficient in both the passing game, where they got a EPA of plus 0.16, and their running game at a plus 0.46. So what's that tell you, Tim? They love to call dub sets, but when they go 2x1, that's where they're most effective. So what you got to make a decision. Do we build the game plan around trying to stop a dubs formation, or do we really want to key in on a 2x1 set? You know what I'm saying? Those are the 2 formations that you really, really want to key in on. Now, keep in mind, they run a ton of 11 personnel. So you're going to see the majority of the time they're going to be in a 3 wide receiver set. 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, 2x2 set the majority of the time. But when they do go to 2x1, it's got to be 12 personnel, as you see right here, because that's 25% of their snaps. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So that's what we're talking about in terms of formation tendency. Again, dub dominant calls, 2x1 is most efficient in both the passing game and the running game for the Bengals. Now, let's move on.
There would be, let's say Jamar Chase doesn't play. Do you think that's going to change their approach, or do you think they're just going to probably lean on what's worked for them regardless of personnel?
I think if they had a dominant running back and a dominant running game, they might lean into the run, but there's nothing about their offense that's been dominant. So I think they'll stick with what they're doing. You know what I mean? Now, they could be coming into this game too, going, all right, what did the Cowboys do so effectively against the Packers, right? How did they move the ball down the field? Well, they noticed, okay, we caught them in cover 1. They caught us. They're going to recognize, the Bengals would recognize that Dallas caught us in cover 1 man with over-the-top technique, and they were hammering those comeback routes on us, right? That could be the case as well. Okay. I think we need to stay away from man coverage. Surprise, surprise. If we do that, then I think we're going to be in a lot better spot to control Jamar Chase. I'm going to draw out a play here in a second and show you what I mean by that as well. We'll get to it in a second when we get to the Tuesday players. So stop the run. The Bengals have struggled to run the ball in 2025, averaging only 3.8 yards per carry. Defensive tackles Carl Brooks and Kobe Wooden must plug the middle and stop the run when the Bengals do go to their 12 personnel. So we need those big guys in the middle to take care of business. I don't care about them rushing the passer. We definitely want some kind of touch spy in the run game going on to make sure we take that away. But again, if Joe Flacco gets hot, pin your ears back and go after him. I'm not talking about a blitz. I'm talking about everybody have a true rush in that regard. So, all right.
I think they're going to mix in some blitz packages, but I hope they don't get blitz happy, like to your point,
Right.
really.
Yeah. Just pick your spots,
Yep.
And when you do blitz, make sure you got 3 deep with over the top technique where they can't burn you for a huge gain. And that's the way they should attack it. Number 3, cover Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is one of the league's top wide receivers and a huge threat to score. Cornerbacks Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, and Javon Bullard will have their hands full trying to contain him while simultaneously keeping an eye on T. Higgins. The way I would approach this is I would play more cover 6 than you have in the past. Okay. I would amp up the cover 6 and make sure the cover 4 aspect of the cover 6 defense is on Jamar Chase's side. We talked about that earlier today. Some people kind of refer to that as a makeshift bracket coverage. It's not. Cover 6 is real simple. You got cover 4, 2 deep, quarter responsibilities on one side of the field, and then the other side is a half. So when you go to that quarter look out of the cover 6, well, on the other side, you got the cover 2 side. Well, that's T. Higgins. So you got to be careful with that. And you know how that is. So if you have on the cover 2 side of a 6 call, if you have him, the safety in the cover 2 deep half, really bend down and almost play a match type coverage on T. Higgins when he goes deep, that's going to open things up for other opportunities underneath. And I think Joe Flacco is a good enough veteran that he can get to the answer if he's got time. The key, again, is going to be getting after him with the pass rush. So Mitchell Tinsley, minimal snaps, but at 80.3. You see Jamar Chase is the 16th highest graded receiver in the league at a 76.8. T. Higgins is sitting there at a 66.6. He's took a slight step back, the 48th best wide receiver according to PFF. And then Losavos is a 56.9. Charlie Jones is a 44.7. So, again, this just screams stop Jamar Chase, but keep an eye on T. Higgins. If T. Higgins starts to eat a little bit, then change up the coverage and let's go to a more balanced approach, because that's the last thing you want is to put so much emphasis on Jamar Chase that now T. Higgins comes alive. So
Absolutely. And stay away from the man coverage, please. Keep it to
Yes.
a minimal.
Completely agree with that, man. Let's see here. Steve in the chat says, I think he meant Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase was feeling well today. Is questionable for the game. So it sounds like he's feeling well, I guess, if I'm reading that correctly. So, all right. Now, let's talk about what they specifically did here recently. Okay. I put this together a little bit earlier today. I'm going to do this so we can try to get it all on the field a little bit. So this is the formation I was talking about. If you guys would hit like and subscribe, every time you guys hit that like button when you come in here, if you haven't already, it just boosts the algorithm and lets other people know about the channel. We greatly appreciate that. All right. This was against the Vikings, a 28-yard pass to Jamar Chase. Okay. And they came out in a 12-gun T flex. All right. So they flexed the T out to the left. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Notice the U, right? I mentioned the U tight end is actually playing H. So the U is in the backfield. The T is split out wide in a semi-stack look on the left with a nasty split. And then on the right is where you've got our boy Jamar Chase. Okay. And then, of course, you got your tight end on that side as well. So remember, I said they're dubs heavy. This is a dub set. Notice 1-2 by 1-2. And you got a sidecar left in the backfield. Now, this particular play is what I would refer to as pick a side, okay? So typically how this works is on one side of the field, you see they've got kind of some hybrid comeback / curl routes under here. What you're doing is you're attacking at the mid-level and then short with curls on the left side of the field. And then on the right side of the field, you're going vertical. So when you come out at the line of scrimmage, the first thing you're doing as a quarterback is you're looking to read, are they in man or zone? If they're in man coverage, okay, are they in shell? They're showing a shell look. Notice the 2 safeties on the shelf here. But as the play developed, what happens is this guy rotates down, or no, he actually fades back to the field side. This free safety does. He fades field. This guy bites down, and what you've got is man coverage over here. And I think it's actually a mod call, what we call man on demand or man on deep, meaning this guy is straight man coverage, and these other guys have a little bit of a zone principle to them. The fact that they left Jamar Chase in single coverage on whichever corner this might have been Byron Murphy. I'm not sure. I can't remember who else playing corner for the Vikings, but nonetheless, what happened? As soon as they snapped the ball, they read mod. They just chucked it up deep to Jamar Chase, and he went up and made the catch. Horrible play by the cornerback. Don't get me wrong. It was kind of underthrown, and he just let Jamar Chase go up over him and get him. I like Keyshawn Nixon's ability to defend that pass when I was watching it, but I wanted to point out this is the type of stuff they like to do. Dub heavy sets, right? 2x2 sets, and they get a little creative with the T out there. Another thing they're looking to do with flexing that T out, Tim, is they're trying to see, does a backer follow him out there? And that will be a mismatch, right? But they played press man up top on Chase, and he burned him for 28 yards. Me no likey that. Stay the heck away from that. Stay in cover 6, cover 3, bring 4, keep 7 in coverage, bend that coverage just a little bit to Jamar Chase. Is just a perfect example of how they actually did the opposite. They bent it away from him because to the field side, and Jamar Chase gets a 28-yard game.
Yeah, I don't understand why teams are still pressing up on receivers like Jamar Chase in these situations. You're going to get roasted 99% of the time. And, now Cincinnati's in a position where they've got a better quarterback throwing the ball now. So you're going to see better balls from Flacco. Not saying that he's, Tom Brady reincarnated or something, but, he's definitely going to give them a better chance to win ball games. So we've got to have our head on a swivel out there. And I hope we are not caught in a situation like this. Man coverage on Jamar Chase with no safety help makes me sick to my stomach. We can't have it. Can't have it.
It's just, there's just no reason to do it,
Yep.
And I didn't look at the score at the time. Maybe the Vikings were blowing them out and they're like, hey, let's get a little aggressive here. I don't know. Right. I didn't look at the specific score. I just caught the uniqueness of them putting the U at the H spot, flexing the T out. They ran pick aside, and this goes right hand in hand with the game plan that showed in terms of the formational aspect of their offense. They love the dub set. So, and interesting too that it's a 12 personnel. We were talking about they like to run out of 12 personnel, Tim. Here's a perfect example. They'll pass out of 12 as well. So, just got to keep that in mind too. But
absolutely.
All right. So Tuesday players, you got 3 Tuesday players, and really one of them's a borderline. Okay. But number 1, Jamar Chase, wide receiver. On offense, that's your Tuesday player. Everything should be geared around, let's stop Jamar Chase and make them beat us left-handed with a quarterback who just said earlier today, Joe Flacco said, the toughest part is going to be getting the lingo down in time for the game, right? That's a big thing.
That's the main thing, and they're on the road. Get loud, Lambeau. Everybody that's going to the game on Sunday, get loud when we're on defense, because that's going to make communication that much more difficult. I'm sure Flacco's got the playbook down. He's probably familiar with what they're doing, but it's getting that cadence and those code words and, the checks and the cans. That's going to take some time, and it'll be interesting to see how he does at Lambeau. So hopefully it's real loud in there.
Yeah. Number 2 on this list is Trey Hendrickson, defensive end. We talked about that. And then number 3, T. Higgins. I wouldn't say T. Higgins is a Tuesday player, but if you're going to double cover Jamar Chase, with that cover 4 aspect of cover 6 from time to time, if you go that route, you gotta really keep an eye on T. Higgins. He can eat. So Jamar Chase is the team's leading receiver, consistently dominant force. Trey Hendrickson leads the team in sacks and is a crucial part of the pass rush. And of course, T. Higgins provides a strong secondary option at wide receiver, complementing Chase's production, especially when defenses try to take Jamar Chase away. That makes sense, Tim?
Absolutely, for sure.
All right. So let's look at those 3 players and their PFF grades. Jamar Chase, listen, people see this go, he's having a down year. I don't see it as he's having a down year. I look at it like he's going to break out soon.
Yeah, now, there's a lot of ball left.
The problem is, these other numbers were with Joe Burrow, right? 2020, starting in 2021, 85, 83, 85, 85. That's with Joe Burrow predominantly at quarterback, right? This year, I think he's probably seen a dip because of the lack of quarterback play. But don't be surprised if he finishes the year in the 80s. Let's make sure we're not the reason that he finishes in the 80s by having a big game.
Yeah, that's a great point, Clayton. I mean, if you think about it, he's only caught passes from Joey B for the last 6 or 7 years. And all of a sudden.
Yeah, this would be his 5th year. Yep. Would have been.
Right. Even going back to LSU, though.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So it's like, now you don't have him. We're playing musical chairs with quarterbacks. That's going to affect your game. I don't care how good you are or who you are.
That's a great point, man. They got that chemistry built for sure. Yep. All right. T. Higgins, his PFF grades year by year, 75, 83, 78, 72. Last year, 88. Tim, he got the bag, 66. Now, again, I'm not saying he's taking the year off because he got the bag. I think it probably has more to do with Joe Burrow not being in there to get the ball to him more effectively when Jamar Chase is getting bracket coverage. So we talked about both those guys pretty extensively. And then, of course, Trey Hendrickson, we already hit on it. 61, 65, 68, 70, 73, 82, 82, 88, 86. He's a dominant force. Build the whole game plan around. Don't let him wreck your offensive game plan.
That left side of our O-line has got to get it done. They have got to get it done.
Yeah, have to. So whichever side Trey Hendrickson's on, I don't know if he predominantly rushes from the right side or if they move him around as much as they do like a Myles Garrett or a TJ Watt from time to time, or how we do Micah Parsons. But if he stays on the left side, let's keep a chip over there. It's worth it. Keep a chip in the league, you'll be good, right? If they move him to the right side and Zach Tom's healthy, then on those specific plays, you don't have to follow. There's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Make sure
and the help where it's needed the most. Yeah.
Make sure the chip in the leak is on the left side if Zach Tom is truly 100%. Because if he's 100%, you trust Zach Tom on an island with Trey Hendrickson if they decide to kick him over there. So just keep the chip in the leak on the left side. When I say chip in the leak, it means a running back or a tight end chipping that edge and then leaking out in the route, right?
Yeah.
So
Tucker Kraft is a master at those.
Yeah, really is good. And I'll tell you somebody else I like at it too is Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick will smack you in the damn mouth and go out and catch a little flat route,
Yep, and turn up field for the yak. You got to love it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so there you go, guys. There is the game plan. If you guys are watching this video back later, hit me up in the comments. Let me know, what should we look at different with the game plan? Did I miss something? Is there something that you want to build upon there, or expand upon, I should say, that we highlighted in the game plan? Again, you can always check that out over at patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 get you access to everything on the site. And you get access to the game plans and all the other content, the chats, get you entered into the giveaways. It's just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. Originally, the Patreon group was just created because people were like, hey, man, I don't want this show to go away. I'd love to contribute and support the show. So I just created a Patreon, and it just sat there forever. It was just this Patreon site. You go over there, and all it was is just you can donate. So now we've turned it into a full website where you can go in and get extra information, extra content, all that good stuff. You also get access to our draft board, and it's cool. From last year's draft board, we're now adding the PFF grades in, so you can see how these rookies are actually performing throughout the season. And you can sort it by column with the spreadsheet of where we had them ranked. And now we're going to start to build this year's draft board and just go ahead and start to put players in that are really sticking out according to PFF. And obviously, as we get a little deeper into the college football season. So all that you get access to over at patreon.com. And keep in mind, you want to join now because we're going to be giving away an autographed Marshawn Lloyd rookie card during the post-game show on Sunday. So if you're a member of the $3 tier, you'll be entered into that giveaway as well. So,
awesome.
Right. Tim, got anything else, man? Anything else you want to hit on, talk about, anything at all, man?
I want to talk about Operation Horse's Heel for a minute, because that's our other big giveaway this entire month of October. We've gotten a lot of support, and we really appreciate it. Doing big things to try and help our veterans. Equine therapy is an awesome process and an awesome opportunity to really connect with these majestic animals. And, Operation Horse's Heel is looking to get a truck and a trailer so they can bring these horses actually directly to the veterans in these different events that they've been waitlisted on until they can get this equipment. So if you go to operationhorsesheal.org and you hit the / how can I help, make sure you donate, use PTA in the comments, there's a little section you can put PTA in there. Then we know that you donated to this great cause, and we will put you in the running for an autographed Romeo Doubs jersey. The away white 87, you got to love it, exclusively from Clayton and Mandy Bailey. Thank you guys. And Pristine Auctions, of course, hooking us up. But just donate anything, even $1. Every little bit helps. We've seen a lot of supporters coming in, $25, $50, $100 donations. That's great. But every little bit helps, and each donation is an entry into this raffle. So it's for a great cause and chance for you to win a Romeo Doubs jersey.
Absolutely, man. Again, it's an awesome, awesome organization. So make sure you guys go check out operationhorsesheal.org / how-can-I-help /
You can scan a QR code up there too in the upper right if you're watching on your big screen TV right now. Otherwise, you can follow us on the socials, right? It's up on our X page. We've got pinned tweets up there with the link so you can directly donate as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Very well said. Again, go check that out, guys. And we appreciate all the support there. All right. Let's get out of here, man. I was going to hit on a couple other things, but I think we'll just carry it into tomorrow. May do a show early tomorrow sometime and then do the normal show tomorrow night as well. I should be pretty free. Just got a couple things to take care of there in the morning. So, we may jump in here tomorrow and just talk a little ball randomly. I'll let you know when I do decide to go live, Tim, if you are available. Cool. If not, no big deal. So I know it's fun.
You got that bell clicked anyways, like everyone should. So you'll get notifications every time we go live. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Absolutely. And I see Chewy in the chat saying, run it back. Can you run through that information again? Voice is already going. appreciate the enthusiasm, but you can hit rewind, just scroll it right back and get all the info. So I think he was just joking there for sure. So Chewy's down here in my neck of the woods of Tennessee, another Tennessean. So I know we had people at the top of the show saying, hey, you root for the Packers. You got that redneck accent. There's a bunch of Packer fans down here in Tennessee. That's right. All right, guys, we'll see y'all. We'll be back tomorrow, definitely 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live, maybe a little earlier in the day if some kind of news breaks or something comes down the pike. Then I'll jump in here. You'll just get notified, and like I said, you'll get the buzz on your phone there, and we'll be live talking ball. I might wake up, just drink a cup of coffee, and talk with you guys and gals as well. So we'll see how. Everybody have a great night. Hit that like, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified in the future. Appreciate y'all supporting everything we do here at PTA. We'll see you tomorrow.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.